So I've seen a lot of people say the golden age of manga is kind of over, and I kind of disagree. I think some of these new gen manga are artistically incredible. Of Kagurabachi, Sakamoto Days, and Dandadan. I believe all three of these manga have so much impact on us, the artists. Which is what I wanted to prove by drawing my main character Nero in these different art styles. Starting with Kagurabachi. But before we get into it, remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And also, you can check out my manga. It's free. I mean, come on, why wouldn't you? So enough rambling, and let's dive in. So Hokazono's art style is influenced by Naruto, Chainsaw Man, and even Batman. And you can definitely see that with this manga, Kagurabachi, as its art style can be described as both rough and clean at the same time. So to match that, I gave Nero a sharper, more symmetrical design. His spiky hair feel like blades now. It's still stylized but still controlled. Whereas I drew his coat very stiff, and the folds of the coat are also drawn thicker than usual. So something Hokazono likes doing is making the eyes of the characters really big. Like, for example, Aoi has these eyes that are so big, but they're so well done because it just shows the sheer emotion. So for the inside of the coat, I went to the lasso tool, which is in the selection area, and used that to make different shapes. And then I just used the general brush to just go over it a couple of times just to make it look crazy. I know that's what Hokazono kind of does on his drawings. So there you have it. That is Nero in Kagurabachi art style. I think it came out pretty well, so let's move on. Next one is Sakamoto Days by Yuto Suzuki. So before we get into the drawing itself, I want you guys to take a look at this scene from Sakamoto Days. You see how drastically the line art changes as soon as Takamura pulls up like a badass. You can see the line work done on him is very rough and it's all over the place. I think that's the beauty of the scene, that it manages to encapsulate just how intense this situation is. And there are many other instances where that has happened in Sakamoto Days. So I wanted to draw a Nero in the same kind of rough style that he uses in those scenes. But for the clothes, I still kept the fabric kind of chunky and curved, especially around the scarf and the sleeve. Sakamoto Days' art style is very rough. You know, the line art I did is, you can tell it's all over the place, you know. The line work isn't very clean, it's more rugged, and it just gives off that vibe. So I still used the lasso tool to make the shadows inside the coat, but this time I kept it very rough. I've seen a lot of Sakamoto Days panels where that has happened, so I just kind of went with it. Lastly, I gave him some tones, and there you have it. That's Nero in Sakamoto Days' art style. You know what? I can kind of see Nero just goofing around with Sakamoto and Shin like in the store. And last but not least, we have Dandadan by Yukinobu Tatsu. It's kind of hard to describe what Dandadan is really about. It's a romance with a blend of strange, bizarre, supernatural stuff, which most of the time I can't even really describe. But thankfully, we're here to discuss the art style of Dandadan. In one of the interviews, Yukinobu states that he draws a lot of inspiration from Kentaro Miura's Berserk and the works of Junji Ito. Now, even though they might be different narratively, I still think they're very similar when it comes to using different artistic methods. And the one method that they all use that I'm going to be talking about today is hatching. Now, there are different types of hatching like cross or environmental, but the one they all share in common and the one they use a lot is parallel. You can see parallel hatching done on most Dandadan panels. And here are some panels I found of Junji Ito's and Kentaro Miura's Berserk that use very similar type of hatching that Yukinobu uses in Dandadan. So Yukinobu's art style is actually pretty clean, even though with the parallel hatching it might seem that it is really rough. What I have noticed in his art style is that the facial expressions and the detail on the faces is actually quite simple, with some of the facial features even being hatched. I mean, this guy loves hatching. I've seen it so much in his manga that it's honestly insane. Which is why I kind of gave Nero this simple and round face with not too much detail on it. Also went with a very simple expression on Nero's face. This one was by far the hardest one to do just because of how detailed Yukinobu's art style is. So the folds on the coat this time are very sharp and more cartoon-like. As you can see on the arm, the fold is very sharp, and even with the shadows on it are very sharp as well. So again, same thing, lasso tool on the coat, but this time also on the hair as well. I've seen a lot of characters in Dandadan have that on their hair, the shading. So I kind of gave Nero the same look. So for his glasses and part of his jacket, I used a tone that I found on Clip Studio Paint. I've seen a lot of times where Yukinobu uses tones to kind of elevate the emotion that he's showing in those panels. And that is the last one done, Nero in Dandadan's art style. And I think I like this one the most. I mean, it kind of looks like it's straight from a Dandadan panel, right? So this is all three of them side by side. This challenge wasn't about copying different new gen art styles. It was about absorbing what makes an aesthetic feel the way it does. You know, if you're an artist, try this yourself. You know, redraw some of the characters in different art styles. You're gonna see yourself improving with every technique you use. Also, if you want me to try this with different manga like Bleach, Jujutsu Kaisen, or Naruto. Also comment which Nero do you guys like the most out of the three. And yeah, like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.